Well, hey, I think it's almost 11:11. Hi, howdy, hello. Happy Wednesday. The interwebs is still a little spotty, so I'm out here to do a little stretching and strengthening, keep myself accountable to myself, invite you to join me, encourage you to join yourself, and just to acknowledge that there's a good chance that my live stream is gonna cut in and out, so I encourage you to just get into your own flow. You're welcome to follow along with me if you like, if you want to try. But in case I cut out, I encourage you to just keep going, tune into your own routine. I'm like, I'm wanting to hug this heater here, but it's a little hot for that. So I'm going to step on back. See if I can get down to the bottom layer. Do a little checking in with the body. Feeling pretty good, all in all things considered today, I'm happy to say. Take a couple breaths just to shake things out. Just shake out the stresses, shake off the past. Breathe in and breathe out. Let go of what no longer serves you. Make room for what you don't even know is coming yet. I'm going to bring my attention into the bottoms of my feet to root myself into the center of the earth. Hang myself from the center of the sky. And I'm going to swan dive down with a relatively straight back from the hips, coming all the way down past the waist and just hang here. Relax in the back, relax in the belly. Letting gravity do some unwinding of the spine. And I'm going to roll on up one vertebrae at a time, stacking on the next, just checking in with the spine today. Let's do some big arm circles, breathing in on the way up. And letting go on the way down. And let's go the other way. Filling the lungs and then emptying the lungs. Breathing in love and acceptance. And breathing out judgment and stress. Let's make that some medium shoulder circles. Again, breathing in on the way up. Just letting go, breathing out on the way down. Let's go the other way. Add some knees if you feel like it. Shake that out a little bit. Let's do some little circles with the hands. Sounding windy out there. You hear that? I don't know if you can hear that through the camera. Little circles with the fingers and wrists, or hands on wrists. Going the other way, just checking in with the big bones and the little bones, everybody. Shake that out. I'm going to do another roll down. Nice and slow this time. Just checking in with the spine again. And enjoy some heat from over in that direction where I got the heat going on. All the way down and just hang again from the hips. I'm going to come up, pulling up in the waist now, pulling up in the pelvic floor, back in the abdomen, left elbow over right, rounding the spine through the waist, tucking the chin, pulling the shoulder blades apart, give myself a nice hug, and then releasing all that again from the hips. Pulling up right elbow over left, again from the waist, pulling up in the pelvic floor, back in the abdomen, Pulling the shoulder blades apart, giving a nice little squeeze, tucking the chin, and then releasing all that again from the hips, shaking that out. Let's do a little twist over to the left. I'm going to raise that left hand, adding a little more of a twist, giving those organs a little squeeze. Coming back to the left, and then back to center, and then over to the right, raising that right hand. Give a nice little squeeze on this side. Back to center again. And then I'm going to bend the knees, swing the arms back, coming into a counter stretch, pushing those hips forward, lifting the eyes, lifting the chest. And back to neutral or central. Shake that out. I think shaking things out is a underappreciated, simple and fun way to kind of reset the body. Shake things out. Of course, it doesn't work quite as well for cleaning the yard. That would be nice, wouldn't it? If you could just shake it out and the yard would be clean. That's what I'm working on, is a couple of big yards. I'm going to go ahead and step back with the left foot into a nice moderate lunge, pushing that back heel down, checking that the front knee isn't crunching past the toes, tipping the tailbone under, pulling the back hip forward, forward hip back, looking for a relatively perpendicular line with the hips, parallel lines with the feet. Bringing arms up overhead, making sure not to crunch up in those shoulders. And then I'm going to twist to the outside plane, pulling the back hip forward even more, forward hip back even more, closing the hips, checking out the side plane here. And then I'm going to scooch that back foot back on the toes, bringing this left hand down on the inside of the right leg for a nice twisting side triangle or aeroplane pose, gazing up past those right fingertips, and then bringing those around to reach for this opposite hip, gazing out past that long leg behind me, giving all those internal organs a nice little squeeze, a little wringing out, a little hello. And I'm going to unwind all of that, following the fingers with the eyes, bringing the hand down on the outside of that front leg and straightening that leg. Pushing back and draping the body over that front leg for a forward fold, aiming chin for toes, really elongating the spine along that right leg. I'm going to bring weight onto hands and bring that right leg back to meet the back leg, pushing through the palms, through the spine, tipping the tailbone toward the back of the head, pushing the heels toward the floor, pressing the heart toward the center of the earth. Let's bend the right knee and press into that left heel, and then bend the left knee, pressing into the right heel, and then pressing into that left heel again, pressing into the right, and pressing into both heels. And then I'm going to swing the body forward, bringing the chest up through the shoulders, keeping those legs together and dropping the belly. It's relaxing the belly, lifting the chest, lifting the eyes, pulling the legs together. That helps protect the low back as you relax the low back, relax the belly, just letting that sag a little bit. I like to kind of rock on the toes sometimes to play with that stretch. Add some tongue stretch there if you feel like it. Really stretching through the front of the body. And then I'm going to lift those hips, pressing back again through the palms, through the arms, through the spine, tipping the tailbone toward the back of the head, pressing the heels down. And then I'm going to swing this left foot forward in between the hands. A nice deep lunge here. I like to give a little bounce on my deep lunges. You do that if you like to. Hey Melinda, glad to see you out there. Stepping forward with that back foot and hanging here in forward fold. Just letting the belly relax, letting the back relax. Then I'm going to bend the knees, swinging the arms back, coming into that counter stretch again. Pushing the hips forward, lifting the eyes, lifting the chest. And coming back to center again. Shake that out. Give a nice shake. Shake it out in the legs. Shake it out in the hands. Shake it out in the head. Shake it out in the hips. Step back with the right foot to a nice deep lunge. Again, pulling that back hip forward, forward hip back. Tipping the tailbone under, pressing that back heel down. Checking that the toes are not, the front knee is not crunching past the toes. And then bringing arms up overhead. Checking not to crunch up in those shoulders. And I'm going to close the hips even more. Coming to this outside plane. Pulling that back hip forward. Forward hip back. And then I'm going to slide that back foot back on the toes. Reaching down with the right foot on the inside of the left leg. And raising those left fingertips for a nice twisting side aeroplane pose. You can make airplane noises if you feel like it. That's not an airplane. That's an old airplane. That's a high up airplane. What does your airplane sound like? Bringing this arm around, creasing that twist, reaching for this opposite hip, and gazing out past that back leg for a nice squeeze to all those internal organs. Saying hello to the kidneys and the spleen and the pancreas and the liver and the heart and the lungs and the bladders and the intestines. A little hello for everybody. And then unwinding all of that. Following those fingers with the eyes and bringing that hand down on the outside of the left leg. Straightening that leg and draping the body over that front leg. Still pushing into that back heel and aiming the chin for the toes. And then bringing weight onto the hands and bringing that leg back. I'm going to scooch this way for a little variety. I got to bring my blanket over though, or my hands will slip. All right, pressing through the palms, through the arms, through the spine, tipping the tailbone toward the back of the head and pressing into those heels, pressing the heart toward the center of the earth. And then I'm going to swing the chest forward through the shoulders. I guess scooch those legs back a little bit. I think I'm at a weird angle. Hi. There we go. Bring those legs together, letting the belly drop and pulling the chest up and forward through the shoulders, lifting the eyes, protecting the low back by clenching the butt cheeks if necessary or keeping those legs together, but then really trying to relax through the front of the body, letting the belly just sag. Give some tongue stretch, stretching the eyes upward, and then lifting the hips, pressing back again through the arms, through the spine, tipping the tailbone and pressing into those heels. And then swinging that right foot forward into a nice deep lunge. Like to give a little bounce there. Body screaming at you. Well, make sure and listen to your body. If it's screaming at you, maybe be a little gentler with it. Unless it's a good scream and you like it, but do make sure you listen to your own body. And sometimes when bodies are screaming at us, means pay attention to something. You know, step forward with that back foot and hang here and forward fold again. I know mine was screaming at me the other day because I did squats after not doing them. I'm going to roll up, stacking one vertebrae on the next. So sometimes it's like a good scream. It's like, oh, you should do squats more often because otherwise we get very sore. I'm going to do just a little bit of letting the arms swing, a little loose twisting, shifting weight side to side. And then I'm going to come into a more settled stance with feet under hips, hips under shoulders. Check in with the alignment. Shake that out a little bit more. I'm going to do some more breathing, just bending the knees, breathing in on the way up, filling the lungs, and then I'm going to twist gently to the left, kind of sweeping that energy to the left, and then breathing in, sweeping that energy to the right, and now I'm going to add a step to that, coming up and then stepping back to the left, sweeping that gently, stepping to center, and then stepping back to the right. I'm going to add a little circle up here. Kind of get in flow with the breath, circling on top, and then releasing to the right, releasing to the left. I like to follow the fingers with the eyes. And just smoothing the energy on down, coming back to center. Let's do a little hip sliding again with feet rooted under hips. I'm going to slide them over to the left, pulling down a little bit on that left hip as I get to the outside. For me, that pulls the stretch into the torso. Pulling over to the right. Face the camera or I'm at a weird angle. To the right, over to the left, and over to the right, and then I'm going to push into the hip, stepping this time and pushing into that left hip, stepping and pushing into the right, pushing into the left, just exploring that stretch, seeing where there's tension, where there's suppleness, making sure not to pop that leg out of the hip socket. That can happen. It's a very unrecommended endeavor. I'm going to come into a wider stance and do some hip dipping. So bringing that stretch into the inner thigh, dipping on the right, and then dipping on the left. Bringing that stretch into this thigh, dipping on the right, dipping on the left. One more time on the right. And on the left, I'm going to step into a nice modified straddle position. I will, I'll do it this way from a straddle. Shift both legs over to the right, turning the body to the right, and then I'm going to drape the body over that right leg. Still aiming chin for toes. And then let's just walk through the center, pivoting toes to the front with a nice wide stance, doing a nice forward bend there, and then walking over to the left, folding the body over the left side, aiming chin for toes on that side. Just draping the body over that front leg. And then again, pivoting toes to front, coming into a forward fold in a deep straddle. I'm going to bend the knees and roll up in the center. Stacking the vertebrae one on the next. Shake that out. Shake it out. Shake out the hands. Shake out the legs. Let's do just a little bit of balancing. I'm going to bring weight onto the right, raising the left knee up toward left shoulder. Again, tipping the tailbone under. Let's add a little ankle rotation. Melinda, I've been doing stretching and strengthening off and on since at least college days, maybe my whole life, depends on how you count it. But I slip off and on my track. Let's do medium circles here. All the time. This is just my way of trying to get back on track day by day. I'm going to bring Hands underfoot. And straighten that leg out. A nice forward fold in the air. I like to focus on this balance, this supporting side, and relax that foot, relax that leg. In the tailbone under. Nice and long. Bringing that out to the side, exploring that hip socket a little bit with the leg. And then bending that leg, setting that on the supporting side. And imagine myself a young, supple tree on an aging mountain in a breeze. Releasing that, bringing weight onto the left, bringing this right knee up toward right shoulder. Again, relaxing that supporting side, relaxing the shoulders, tipping the tailbone under. Let's do a little ankle rotating on this side. A little rotating from the knee, just to check in with that knee joint. And then I'm going to reach for the bottom of this foot, stretching that out for a nice forward fold in the air. This can be done laying down, although it'd be challenging to get from standing up to laying down. Flop on the floor. I'm just kidding, don't do that. You could, modify this whole routine and do your version of it laying down if you felt like it. I encourage you to play, exploring this hip socket with the leg here. I'm going to bend this leg, setting that foot on the supporting side. Again, relaxing the shoulders, tipping the tailbone under, and imagining myself a supple young tree on an aging young mountain, covered in playful, warm, and cool breezes. Swinging this elbow out as I still try to relax the supporting side.